This is a F-16 fighter, one of the most successful three-generation aircraft, and also the most popular fighter. It has served for more than 40 years and has produced nearly 5,000 aircraft in total, and has been sold to more than 30 countries and regions. Although the current F-16 is already a big package, but its original intention is to specialize in long-distance combat and become the best air-to-air fighter. The F-16 is the first aircraft in the U.S. Air Force to be equipped with a 9G loader, and the first aircraft to use electronic control, and the first aircraft to use advanced stable start design. It can be said that the history of American fighter jets has the significance of a milestone. In 2015, the F-16 and its successor, the F-35, conducted air simulation combat in California. The F-16 defeated the F-35 several times while carrying 2 anti-aircraft guns. Although the combat in the video is not the strength of the F-35, its stealth performance has not been reflected, but it is enough to show the excellent strength of the F-16 mid-range fighter. According to the plan of the U.S. Air Force, the existing F-16 will be extended in use, and it is expected to serve for at least another 20 years. So what kind of aircraft is the F-16 so that it can be global? Welcome to Christian's Base. Today, let's talk about the F-16 fighter. In 1965, the Vietnam War, North Korea launched a fierce attack on the U.S. military positions. President John F. Kennedy was ready for a battle upgrade. The U.S. Air Force sent a large number of jet fighters, hoping to end the Vietnamese Air Force as soon as possible. But after arriving in Vietnam, the U.S. military's aircraft were mostly heavy, high-speed fighter jets, specifically designed to intercept Soviet bombers. In terms of maneuverability and agility, it could not be compared to the small and agile MiG of the North. In addition, the U.S. military's main model F-4 was not equipped with aircraft guns, which caused the U.S. military to fall to almost 1-to-1 in terms of air-to-air combat exchanges. In 1968 alone, 22 U.S. Air Force aircraft were shot down. During the entire Vietnam War, the U.S. military only sent 2 ace pilots who shot down more than 5 enemy aircraft. There were 16 ace pilots in the North. The senior U.S. military officials were very worried. They actually lost the advantage of air combat. In addition, the Soviet MiG-25's air-to-air attack made the battle upgrade plan impossible. So the U.S. Navy first developed the F-14, which was able to change its rear engine. The U.S. Air Force followed suit. In 1972, they launched the F-15 Eagle fighter. But not everyone thinks that the F-15 is the best option. The F-15 was originally built with the air-to-air as the main target. But in the subsequent improvements, it deviated from its original intention. The U.S. Air Force changed the F-15 bigger and bigger. It weighs more than 5 tons more than the prototype. Plus, the high price of the F-15. In the 1970s, it was priced at $15 million. The U.S. Air Force needs enough air-to-oil fighters to deal with the MiG. But it's obvious that they can't afford so many F-15s. So Air Force Commander John Bolide led a team called the Blackwater Party. They decided to create a mid-range fighter, but the weight and price is only half of the F-15. However, it's not easy to design a light fighter that will satisfy the U.S. Air Force. After all, their previous training in aircraft was getting better and better. After going through a series of sales, in 1971, the Department of Defense finally passed this plan. A year later, the U.S. Air Force began bidding. 5 companies submitted their designs. In the end, the U.S. Air Force came up with 2 plans: YF-16, designed by General Motors, and YF-17, designed by Northrop. They bought a plane from each of the 2 companies. Let them compare their performance in test flights. The development work began immediately. In 1974, California. After 2 years of research and development, the YF-16 appeared on the runway. In order to achieve strong maneuverability, YF-16 first used progressive stability design. Progressive stability design aircraft such as the F-4. The center of gravity of the aircraft is at the front of the center of gravity of the aircraft. In order to make the aircraft fly steadily, the level of the rear and the ground provide a certain pressure. When the air-to-water aircraft raises its head, the wings of the aircraft are enlarged, and the gravity increases. The center of gravity of the rear will naturally rise. Adjust the aircraft posture to lower the head of the aircraft. Aircraft with near-stability design. When it is affected by external factors such as turbulence, the aircraft will automatically adjust to a stable flying state. However, when the fighter is moving, this design will hinder the pilot's operation, waste power, reduce the mobility of the aircraft, and create greater resistance. So the F-16 uses progressive stability design. Its center of gravity is at the rear of the center of gravity. The water surface provides upward force to stabilize the aircraft. This part of the force is useful. Similar to gravity, it can reduce the energy required by the aircraft in the air. When the aircraft raises its head, the wings of the aircraft are enlarged and the gravity increases. The center of gravity of the rear will naturally rise. Adjust the aircraft posture to lower the head of the aircraft. This design allows the aircraft to adapt to the pilot's operation, have a stronger mobility. But without the stability adjustment of the aircraft itself, the aircraft becomes quite flexible. It is almost impossible for the pilot to operate each section accurately through mechanical propulsion. Therefore, the F-16 is the first to use a power ship control system. All the sections on the aircraft are connected to the computer. The pilot will give the command to the computer. The computer will complete the precise control. On the F-16, all the cross-sectional controls must be done through various connections: cable, liquid pressure system, and complex network. Connected to the pilot's sense of operation. Even on the sense of operation, 2 kilograms of load was added, used to increase the feel and simulate the resistance. This design not only increases the F-16, it also makes the pilot need to use more strength to operate the aircraft when fighting at close range. The power ship control system on the F-16 can perfectly solve these problems. All the design is to make it a better air combat aircraft service. Back to the Air Force Base in Edward, the F-16 is ready for its first test. The general senior pilot is designated as the pilot. The first test is just a high-speed glide on the runway. At the same time, test the control function of the power ship control system. When the F-16 meets the runway, it starts to accelerate. High-speed glide on the runway. Suddenly, the fuselage is raised. The aircraft begins to turn sharply, swaying left and right. The wings on the left and the wings on the right hit the ground. The whole project and the pilot's life are in danger. The pilot only has a few seconds to react. It's on the ground. Increase horsepower. Pull the plane up. The gliding experiment goes straight to test flight. Fortunately, the pilot's skills are familiar. After flying in the air for a lap, stable landing successfully saved his life. And the F-16 project. The engineers immediately began to check the plane. Soon, they found the problem. They gathered the key data of the accident, re-engineering the flight control system and engine. 6 months later, the YF-16 once again faced the powerful YF-17. On the paper data, the YF-17 has a certain advantage: more operable wings, higher thrust ratio. But the performance of the plane, it's never just a matter of paper data. Both planes are testing their limits. Only one plane can win. The YF-16 successfully defeated the YF-17, successfully entered the U.S. Air Force. The Secretary of Defense announced, the first batch of 650 YF-16s is planned to be produced. The production line is fully operational. In the end, the F-16 was damaged. But this plane is a little different from the original YF-16. The U.S. Air Force is still doing it. Enlarged and modified, increased wing hangers, extended the fuselage by 30 centimeters to accommodate more electronic equipment, a total of 2 tons. The price has also risen significantly. The F-16 is a single-engine fighter, equipped with the F-100, PW-200 engine. Each thrust can reach 11 tons. Air weight 5.8 tons. It is the lightest fighter in the U.S. Air Force. The maximum takeoff weight is 19 tons. The maximum flight speed is 2,175 kilometers per hour. The range is about 4,000 kilometers. There are a total of 11 wing hangars, can be equipped with various air-to-air missiles, and all the ground weapons of the U.S. Air Force. Also equipped with a M61A1 rocket, 20mm cannon, carefully buried on the left side of the fuselage to reduce air resistance. The rate of fire is 6,000 rounds per minute, 511 rounds of ammunition, although it is slightly smaller than its distant cousin A-10. But it has a lot of power in the sound. The fuselage cover of the F-16, removed most of the pre-fuel frame on the fighter, can have a good cockpit view. The fuselage cover of the fuselage model provides the pilot with a 360-degree full-angle view during the flight. Many maneuvering actions will produce considerable load. Serious time will cause the pilot's brain hemorrhage. In order to help the pilot resist overload, the fuselage is designed to tilt back 30 degrees. Just look at the paper data. The F-16 is indeed an excellent light fighter, but the best test of weapons. It's nothing more than a real battle. But the first real battle of the F-16 became ground combat. 1981 Iraq, Baghdad. French and Iraqi engineers built a nuclear reactor, Saddam claimed. This nuclear reactor is for research purposes. The Israelis suspected that they wanted to steal the nuclear weapon. They decided to blow up the nuclear reactor in Iraq, south ready to use the newly bought F-16. June 7th, 6 F-16 take off from the Aichi Air Force Base. Each one carries two 1,000 kilograms Mk-84 bombs and two HMS air-to-air missiles. Mid-Eastern terrain. In order to avoid radar detection, the F-16 flies quite low, maintained between 100 meters and 50 meters, at a distance of 20 kilometers from the nuclear reactor. The F-16 starts to accelerate, climb to 1,000 meters, throw the bomb, 6 out of 8, directly thrown to the reactor center. This attack shocked the world. American pilots also want to test the performance of their own aircraft, but the F-16 is in the hands of the U.S. military. It will be 10 years later, January 1991. Back to Iraq. Aircraft from 13 countries gathered in Botswana. The U.S. Air Force sent more than 400 fighters. More than half of them are F-16. The Taiwan War broke out. The battle began on the third day. Al Minha Air Base. 40 F-16s are ready to fly to Baghdad. This time, their mission, still on the ground, responsible for bombing the city south of Iraq. But Iraq's ground-to-air missiles and radars protect the factory. In order to deal with anti-aircraft weapons, the F-16 will produce a sound wave when it flies. When the speed of flight increases, these sound waves will accumulate on the fuselage. Once the sound wave breaks through, these sound waves will become huge shock waves, produce a sound wave. The pilots decided to add a super sound wave, then stretch, hit the ground with the sound wave. This will produce a huge noise. Maybe it will make the Iraqis think, what kind of weapon fell down? Then retreat in a hurry. Time is tight. The F-16 immediately began to reload. When it goes down to a height of 900 meters, suddenly stretch. Produce a huge noise, successfully mixed with the sound. Let the ground troops retreat smoothly. The F-16, which is the main target of air warfare, although in its 40 years of service, there are not too many dogfights, but with its excellent performance, step by step, as a model of multi-purpose fighter, prove yourself. Not only can it be an air fighter, can do anything. With the passage of time, in the near future, the F-16 is getting closer and closer to the life of 8,000 hours of the fuselage, around 2040. It is estimated that it will be completely replaced by the F-35. But with the change of the future air warfare, The probability of dogfights is getting smaller and smaller. Super data warfare and electronic warfare are the key. There is a high probability that there will be no special design for air fighting. Such a small mobile aircraft has appeared. In the future, on the Russian battlefield, we may see the F-16 and the scene of the Russian fighter. You can pay more attention. This is the whole story of the F-16. If you think it's good, don't forget to like more. See you in the next video.